Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm going to be playing the two best tier 9s in the game. Firstly, it's the tier 9 American heavy tank, the Concept, and I got a decision to make. What set of equipment am I going to use when I'm playing on the Malinovka map? I have two sets of equipment on this vehicle, both of them incorporate vents and a gun rammer, because I like the holistic all-round firepower potential of using that combo. And then I combine them on this tank, either with a turbo or alternatively with an aiming device, because this vehicle actually has really good gun handling, and I feel that the aiming device, to improve the relatively poor accuracy of .38 base, can actually get more value than the vert stabs, just the way that I like to play with the vehicle's decent aim time at 2.3. Now I've elected to go for a turbo, and the reason for that is because I want to take pole position up on the hill. I feel like when I'm playing Malinovka, it's whoever can kind of take the windmill and then start side-scraping on it that can quite often dictate whether the hill is won, and usually whoever wins the hill is going to be able to win the battle. However, when you're not a top-tier heavy tank and you're having to deal with vehicles like the VZ55, 60 TP, and even aggressive autoloading mediums like the Skoda T50 and the TVP who might make their way up onto the hill, you got to be careful. I still feel that it's my duty to contest, and so I'm going to go all in for the scenario. And now that I know that the M60 is spotted on the other side of the map, shouldn't be too much cause for concern, right? I'm getting into a position to see if I can get a cheeky shot to start off with on the Skoda, and unfortunately the shell doesn't fly true, and oh dear, object 140, but I now know that the TVP's down below. I'm thinking, shall I run? But instead, I ask the AMX M454 for help. But it looks like instead of asking him for help, I actually said that I will help you, but hopefully he kind of gets the gist. Both artillery shells come in, I lose my med kit, I'm going to be stunned for 10 seconds, but I still feel like I've got to take the fight to the object 140. And I'm wondering, shall I use my repair kit right now, or shall I wait for just a second until he fires another one? Still should be okay, because they're actually firing heat at my angled armor, and it seems to be working out well for me. Luckily, my artillery helps out, stuns the object 140, and so I now know that I should be okay. And this is where the Concept, it's just so mobile. Do you see how it kind of just bounces around backwards, forwards? The turbo definitely helps with the reverse speed on this tank, but it's not bad. Base reverse speed at 18 anyway. And big thumbs up, thank you to the AMX M454 who helped me be able to get through that situation. And this is where it's so important, because if you can end up behind the windmill here, the enemy artillery can't hit you. But with the way that the enemy VZ55 is set up here, my artillery should be able to hit him. And that's because you notice how the forest for the side of the map where I spawn actually goes slightly further towards the south, which allows them to be able to get cleaner shots around the windmill. However, that's not the case for the enemy artillery, and they're usually hugging the zero line, whereas my artillery can go as far along as the B line, for example, which now is allowing them to be able to pummel down the heavy tanks. And if you can win this pole position in an artillery fight like this, then eventually it should end up going quite well. But I feel like I got to get this done and finish off the VZ55, which we do. And now the enemies are actually trying to flank around us. So we've got to try and make sure that we swing around here a little bit so the E75 doesn't get a shot on us, which is why we're swinging out towards the side here. And then hopefully we're going to be able to go hold down. I asked the Conqueror for help, letting him know that I'm here to be able to hold back this tier 10 heavy tank. And again, artillery doing some absolute work right now with regards to the stunning. Now with the 60 TP being on reload, I have a little look at the TVP, expecting him to shoot me, and yeah, this is where the armor on this vehicle really helps out. 130 of well-angled armor on the front of the hull, and 250 on the turret. It's just allowing me to deal with the TVP from down below, bouncing 3 rounds from him. And to all intents and purposes, that's their entire mag worth of effective firepower potential. And so now we get to finish off that 60 TP. I believe we put 4 shots into them and helped our artillery to be able to handle that situation. And you can see the E75 and the AE Phase 1 decided to push my AMX M454 in this scenario, but I've got to go and back him up. Luckily, however, the artillery only does 4 damage to me. I decide to use my med kit to try and make sure that I'm not stunned and get back into this fight, and I fire a chancy shot at the AE Phase 1 there. Luckily, that artillery shell doesn't hit me, but unluckily for the Conqueror, it takes him out the game. I bounce around from the AE Phase 1, come forwards, look for the lower plate, they over-angle their armor, and luckily because I'm not firing heat, it's a clean kill. And this feels like it's an artillery deathmatch right now, as the Bat Chat finishes off the AMX M454 on my team, and my 212 aim finishes off the A Phase 1. And do you notice just how fast this concept is? It's kind of like a medium tank with heavy tank armor, the best of both worlds. And in this situation, I'm just going to chill out, wait for the stun to wear off, and maybe this E100 can be able to come. And why wouldn't I just wait for the artillery? Because I've got the pole position. That E75 is not safe, and my artillery is safe. But if they're going to whiff a shell at the front of my tank, why don't I show them that I have medium tank mobility? I'm so fast, the enemy artillery misses me, although stuns me, but also stuns the enemy E75, and that means that I'm easily able to out-traverse them and finish them off with my better reload. I probably would have been able to reload quicker than the E75's subsequent shell after their missed shot at my tracks, but when you're bombing it around at 44, literally as if you're like a medium tank with epic traverse speeds as well, with taking the field mod that improves your ground resistances to be able to aid that, combine that with a good crew, a turbo, and with vents which will improve your driver skill and help your overall mobility and your ground resistances by 3% as well. Yo, this thing is just the all-purpose tank, and that's why it's so darn overpowered. The crazy thing about this vehicle is, as well, to be able to get it, you actually had to play ranked, if that's even going to come back. You still have access to it if you manage to get, I believe, into Division 2 in the last ranked season. But it's just this all-purpose crazy vehicle that Wargaming have also decided to limit to the best players. It's so weird. When you think about other competitive video games like League of Legends, Riot isn't giving the players who finish in Diamond or Challenger champions which are just better than all of the others to allow the best players to ruffle stomp. No, they're giving them fancy skins, and that's really what Wargaming should do as well, but for some reason, it's just not the case. I mean, it means that it's quite nice to be a good player in World of Tanks, but I have to admit, it also just, it's not good for the long-term player base, and the fact that everyone has to suffer playing against vehicles like this one, and the subsequent vehicle that I'm going to be playing as well. So we rammed the Škoda for 332. I turned my attention to the GW Panther. I ram the TVP. Well, I don't ram the TVP. I shoot the TVP, then ram the TVP. Then I ram the GW Panther as well to death. And did we just secure 2 ram kills at the end of the game? Yeah. Just concept 1B things. And that is why this thing is just, I mean, it looks like a freak on the battlefield. And it's got super powers with regards to the way that it's statistically set up. And the only thing that's really lacking on this vehicle has to be, A, its gold pen, but more importantly, its damage per minute. 1,181 is not great, although it is substantially better than the latest premium tank that went into the game in the form of the Chieftain prototype. So, while this vehicle is in #1 slot as most powerful vehicle at tier 9, it also has a competitor, so let's play it. Next up, we're playing in the Kampfpanzer 50T, and funnily enough, this game was pretty much an hour after the game that I just played in the Concept 1B, and I was like, deja vu. Alright, well, I'm playing in the exact same position, although this time it's an encounter version of the same map from the same scenario. And so I'm definitely not going to need a turbo to be able to get up on the hill. So I'm going to be using vertical stabilizers instead. And that's because even though this is a medium tank, it actually has significantly worse gun handling, at least with regards to the turret traverse, than you would have on the Concept 1B. And it's pretty fast. So while I definitely think it will benefit from a turbo and probably end up with the same kind of speed, I think it might be pushing it a little bit. So unfortunately, that standard B kind of pushed me there a little bit, but it wasn't really their fault. I should have expected that they wanted to come in and be able to get the shots as well. And I've ended up in an awkward scenario where I'm actually firing high explosive rounds, and I end up losing a lot of damage opportunity. But I didn't end up losing my head like the standard B there. Looks like they were really quite focused on just coming around the corner and giving the enemy team everything they could there. And unfortunately for the standard B, they're in the garage. But now I kind of have the ultimate hold down opportunity. And that is that I can manage to use this wreck, and I'm going to be able to grind. And when you're playing in a medium tank that kind of has the armor of a heavy, outside of a few weak points, and as long as the enemies aren't firing real full-blooded premium rounds at you, you can do very well in a vehicle like this. Now, I was wondering what was going on, and basically the turret of the standard B there, I ended up wedging my vehicle up slightly, which made it very awkward. So instead, I'm going to move around the wreck of the standard B so I can continue to use the wreck of the tier 9 Italian medium tank. And now I can hopefully get myself use his turret just a little bit to use a bit of the gun depression of the tank. And wow, we've got a clean shot into the lower plate there on the M103. And look at this thing as a terrifying prospect. This vehicle has 250 millimeters of frontal turret armor. Combine that with 120 on the hull, and this thing, it's pretty much like a concept. In fact, I had to double take there and actually just make sure that I wasn't reading out the armor statistics of the concept because they sound fairly similar to what we just read in the previous battle, right? But no, that is the Kampfpanzer's armor. It's almost as if a Leopard prototype, which you saw on the channel yesterday, and the E50 had a child, and then they kind of just turned the notch up a little bit. It's an absolute fabulous medium tank that if you can manage to hide your lower plate and end up in those kind of hold down scenarios, is an absolute force on the battlefield. So those are the two Lorraines that we managed to put, I think, a couple of high explosive rounds into earlier. However, neither of them managed to penetrate, but we're putting a little bit of extra damage in. This vehicle, it's not like a Leopard with its lovely 420 alpha damage. 320 is not great. But when you've got 268 millimeters of penetration on your standard rounds and you have access to heat rounds that also have 310 millimeters of penetration, you got more than enough at tier 9 to deal with the majority of your opponents. And again, just like the concept, one of the downsides to this vehicle is that it doesn't get those real full-blooded premium rounds. But not even the E50 would, right? The Leopard prototype definitely would, but not the E50. And you know, got to take the pressure off the team there. The team was pinging the base, saying, reset cap, don't worry, AMX 65T, I got you. As I reset the IS-6 without even being able to see them. I'm trying to fire a second shot now with them being lit up on the map so I can use the aiming indication towards their position to see if we can shut them down. And talk about shutting them down, oh, come on, Panther 2. Take your hits, mate. Although I was probably aiming at the side of the vehicle. I think I should have aimed more at the front of the vehicle there if I'd wanted to pick up the clean kill. Unfortunately, the 53 TP lurches forwards, and so I hit their tracks instead of managing to finish off the medium tank that's still holding back our forces on top of the hill. Unfortunate now, we're just not quite getting the kills that I wanted to in this scenario, as we're also unable to be able to get the 50 TP prototype. And talking about 50 TP prototypes, there seems to be another one left up on the hill. This time the T-44 can't be able to avoid our wrath as I see a little spider descending. Can you see that on the camera? Probably not. What is up with my house and insects? We had ladybirds, now we got spiders trying to distract me from my content. At least I'm not playing live now, so I'm not ending up dying on the hill because of a spider, like we did do on that ill-fated bridge with the T-95. That definitely annoyed a lot of you. I did make it up, though, by featuring the T-95 on the channel immediately afterwards in a game. What's going to be the next animal that distracts QuickyBaby when he's recording his YouTube videos? I don't even know. Luckily, my thick armor avoids taking damage from the 155mm caliber gun of the American Tier 9 tank destroyer, and we finished them off after spotting them for pretty much most of their vehicle. Obviously, spider allergies here. As we finish off the Lorraine as well. And this is what I love about this tank. The fact that its armor is just so great, just like a concept, that you can just get yourself into these situations where you are kind of just chilling out in the open. You don't really have to worry. I've now blocked 2,350 damage, enough to be able to kill the vehicle one time over, or even 1.5 times. And we're just keeping on blocking the damage now to 2,650. The 53 CS has now been spotted as the 53 TP on the enemy team somehow managed to crash themselves. Oh, that was an ally, actually, not the enemy. And unfortunately, we don't quite manage to finish off the tank there, but we are up to 6 kills and a top gun, and now we're hunting down this cheeky Udez who's actually managing to get some clean shots into me here. Some good camera rating on that vehicle, and not the best camera rating on my tank. And I'm hoping we have another ram kill. What? I actually pushed the wreck, but I guess the CS52 lease on my team just managed to yoink it. Boy, there are a lot of moments in this replay where my team were managing to yoink my kills, although it's not like I had written my name on them. And so that is the Kampfpanzer, a deja vu moment, showing you that both of these vehicles are great in the same scenario on Malinovka for the distinct reasons of good gun, plus good mobility plus good armor means good tank. Which results in these two vehicles having the best win ratios by far of any of the tier 9 tanks in the game. Although, I must stress that these vehicles are gated behind rewards of a game mode which you have to be a little bit competitive to proceed in. And so we should look at these statistics with a grain of salt. And that is because the best players are the ones who have them, and so better players usually end up getting better statistics. But honestly, I think it's also because they're just very competitive vehicles with statistics in all of the areas that competitive players love to use to dominate their games. And if you want to know more about these tanks, I thoroughly recommend you check out my full tank reviews on them, as they might highlight a few opportunities for you to find some weak points that are not obvious at first. So our first game in the concept gives us a kamikaze medal, as well as an ace tanker for 1,751 base experience. That's 6,661 damage with an extra 2,000 assistance on top. Cool, 8,500 combined game. And because I don't think we fired many premium rounds at all, we still make 31,000 credits profit even after resupplying consumables at full price. This game happened at 24 minutes past 11 on Halloween, and that's not a trick. That literally an hour later at 1 AM on the 1st of November, we have that next Kampfpanzer game, where once again we get an ace for 1,664, a Confederate steel wall for managing to block 3,300 damage, and a Top Gun for those 6 kills. And again, because I didn't need to fire many high explosive anti-tank rounds to make a profit even with a full price consumable resupply. And so the Kampfpanzer and the concept, you should definitely pick these up for bonds if you can manage to get your hands on them. They're way better than the Foch 155. You might as well just get a Foch B. They're way better than the FV215B. You might as well just get a Super Conqueror. And if you're thinking about picking up either a 121B or an M60, sure, those vehicles can be fun, but they're only just as good as their equal tier counterparts. Whereas these two tanks, they're a cut above. And if you want to have a very fun tier to play at, aka tier 9, and also have something incredibly competitive to just feel like a superhero for a game or two, then you can't go wrong with these two powerhouses. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Monday, I'm going to be streaming right now for the rest of the day, continuing to give as many QuickyBaby commanders out for free as possible with brand new drops. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.